Okay, welcome back, everybody, to another Wednesday night class. We are going to start tonight for the first time. We're going to start learning Rav Dessler. Eliezer Dessler, the Mechtav Me Eliyahu. He authored a number of Svarim titled Mechtav Me Eliyahu, literally means letters from Eliyahu. There's some letters that he wrote to different people. And it would be good to think about the Mechtav Me Eliyahu as one of the foremost thinkers of the previous generation. He was born in the late 1800s, died in the mid 1900s, and he was a tremendous individual. If you know the Kollel, so Mrs. Beer, Rabbi Beer, the Rosh Kollel, his wife went to seminary in Gateshead and was a student of Rav Dessler. His grandson lives here in Boston, Chaim Dessler. He works for the Beis Yaakov. So there's a large family. They're all around. But tremendous individual, really a deep thinker. And his approach to Judaism was always using the mind to analyze and understand, and the heart to bring out the purpose and the drive of what we're supposed to do. So the first piece that he talks about, he calls it Ha'osher v'haschar b'olam hazeh. Osher with an aleph means, literally we translate as happiness. Okay, and reward, schar and reward in olam hazeh, in this world. So we're going to tonight just focus specifically on happiness and what the definition of happiness is, who's happy, who's truly happy in their lives, and how can we ourselves achieve true happiness. So the first thing we have to understand is, how do we define happiness? What's the definition of happiness, right? So I'm sure if I'd ask everybody here, you'd have some answers, probably some that would coincide, some that would be different, and a lot of different things that we might be able to suggest that would be the definition of happiness. We're going to do this in a way that's going to be a little bit more surface level at the beginning, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into it. That way we can bring out the points and really highlight what Rav Dessler is trying to tell us. So today, in this world that we live in, if we look around and we want to look at people who are happy, maybe fulfilled, we'd probably identify people that are driven or accomplished, and they work very hard, and they have a certain ambition or a certain energy to accomplish and to succeed. They must be happy. Look at them. That's great. Everything's going for them, or they're trying their best and they're working hard at things. We'd say though those people are happy in their life. They're going places, and to a degree that makes a lot of sense. Right? We feel good when we accomplish. So a person who strives for accomplishments is going to be happy. Presumably, that's what we would assume. Now, if we'd ask ourselves, have we ever seen people that are either happy or successful and happy in their status or whatever it might be, we'd probably say, yeah. Right? And ask anybody, yeah, sure, I know people that have you. Am I personally? Maybe not, but you ask about other people and you will always be able to seemingly identify people that are happy. The problem is like this. Right? The problem is whenever just imagine you call somebody on the phone and you ask them, how are you? What do they tell you? Oh, great, everything's fine. Thank God, everything's all right. Baruch Hashem. We all love to blame God for everything. Baruch Hashem, thank Hashem, everything's great. Right? And what's the definition, if you look in a dictionary, what's the definition of a kvetch? Somebody who complains. And when you ask them how they're doing, they tell you. Right? Nobody wants to know how you doing. Oh, well, if you really want to know, you got 45 minutes, let me tell you what a day I had. Right? So oftentimes we identify people that are happy when we look at others, and it's really just on a surface level. We don't really know. And it's hard to know. We can't really know what's going on with other people in their personal lives. So when we look at others and we say, oh, that guy must be happy or that person must be happy, maybe that's a little bit too surface level. So if we can't, we're not going to sit and interview people and ask them how they're doing and try and get to the root of whether they are actually happy or not. So then we have to kind of introspect and self-assess and ask ourselves, are we happy? Okay, what am I happy about? Am I happy? Am I not happy? You have to look a little bit more of a system of how to figure out who's happy. So now imagine I was a billionaire and I would ask myself, am I a happy person? Am I happy? So now, okay, well, you got to think. I got to imagine a billionaire's got pretty much everything he needs. Right? Doesn't really worry about anything, right? So he has everything he needs. Everything should be fine. But again, that's really only on the surface level, right? Imagine, I think it was there's a story with the gas guy, Getty, I think it was, where his kids were like crazy over his money. It was a nightmare. His kids were constantly just trying to have his money and driving him nuts, and they were doing all sorts of crazy things. And there's story after story after story about very, very, very wealthy families who people just don't get along. You have everything. What are you fighting about? What could you possibly need that you don't have, that you need to fight about stuff? So clearly wealth is not the ticket to happiness. That's not it. Okay, so if I were a billionaire and I'd ask myself, I'm happy, well, probably got a lot of things to worry about, and I'm probably not so thrilled about everything going so smoothly. All right. Okay. So next category. Let's call myself the middle class man. All right? I'm middle class. I live, okay, I work for a living, gotta make ends meet. And am I happy? Okay, if I'm happy, so then I'm working hard, gotta put all the pennies together to save up and work and work and work and work my whole life. And when do I get to sit back and put my feet up on the desk and just enjoy, put my toes in the sand? Okay, once in a while I might get a vacation, but this is happiness. This is what it is. Right? The person that works day in and day out to support a family, it's a commendable thing. We're proud. It's a good thing to do. Obviously, we're not saying that these are the bad things, but also not necessarily the definition of happiness. So now let's go to the lower class. Not a nice term. Let's go with people that are they are the workers that serve other people, the wait staff, the cleaning crew. Right? They live their lives and they do for others. Very, very hard. Right? It takes in a certain amount of character to be able to be happy in such a situation where they're always doing for others and nothing for themselves. So where exactly are the happy people? Right? You look around, if you just kind of think, if you were to put yourself in any of these groups of people or any person's shoes, you can probably construct all sorts of different things that would be very, very natural and normal reasons why that person might not be so happy. Right? So on a surface level, yeah, everybody's happy, it's good. But deeply, how happy are we? Or how happy are people? So who is happy and how do we get there? So now I'll give you a mashal, just a very simple mashal. Imagine a doctor. Okay? You go to the doctor, say, doctor, I'm not feeling well. These are my symptoms. Okay? And if the doctor has no clue about what the actual illness is, and he just sees symptoms, and he says, okay, for this, you take that. For that, you take this. And he gives you a whole bunch of different medications for the symptoms. It's not a very good doctor. The doctor has to understand the root of what's going on. What's the reason why these symptoms are manifesting? What is actually going on? And then you can treat it. You can't treat towards the symptoms. You treat towards the illness, and the symptoms will eventually go away. So before we can say how do we get to happiness, let's figure out what's causing people to not be so happy. What is it that causes people to be unhappy in life? What are the things? What are the things that are causing people to struggle and say, life's just not working out? So for that, as we are during the time of Sfira, so every week there's a custom to read and to learn one of the chapters of Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. So one of the Mishnayos in Pirkei Avos says very clearly, Ha-kina, v'ha-taiva, v'ha-kavod. Kina is jealousy. Taiva is desire. Kavod is honor. Motzian esa adam min ha'olam. Those are the things that take a person out of the world. Those are remove you from this world. Now, what does that mean? Jealousy, desire, and honor remove us from the world. So we have a society that we want to live in. We have a group of people who want to function around and want to be contributing to that society or whatever it might be. Now, if I'm jealous and I'm always thinking that somebody has something that I should have and it's not fair and there's something wrong, that there's some sort of imbalance that is present in my eyes, and true or imagined is not relevant, but that's what I think. So then I say, okay, I can't live like this. It's not right, and I'm just going to start having negative feelings toward that person. Things aren't going to work out. So Motzian es ha'adam min ha'olam, you want to live in this world. This world is filled with people. You got to coexist with people. And now you're going to say, okay, but that guy's got something that I don't have. It's not right. It's not fair. I'm upset. I'm jealous. That takes you out of the world that you're supposed to be in. Taiva, desire, a person that chases after the desires. Yeah, let's go back to the billionaire. And we're taught that ein adam mace, the person doesn't leave this world. The chatzi ta'avaso biyadin, doesn't have half of his desires in his hand. Meaning anything we desire that we want, so we grab it, and then suddenly we have this very, very weird feeling. We want it again, want more. 5 minutes ago, you were happy with $1,000. I put $1,000 in help, you'd be fine. Now I give you $1,000. You want 2,000 back? You want 2,000 instead? Now you're not so happy. You were just happy with 1,000. Now you're not happy, right? So desire, taiva desire, is something that is always dragging us around. It's always grabbing our attention, saying, "You want more. You want more. You want more. Go after more. Go after more." That takes us out of we can't function in life like that. It's very hard. It's very difficult. People are I got to make my money. I got to make. What are you making money for? So you have a bigger number on the screen when you look up your account. Running and running and running. It never stops. Taiva, kavod, honor. Okay? Now we are all, as we've mentioned in the past, we all have tselem Elokim. We're created in Hashem's image, and we are deserving of respect. There's no question about it. And this is not a license to disrespect anybody. But sometimes you see, you see a person that he gets upset, and talk to the gabbai in the room. This is always a challenge. He gets upset when he doesn't get the aliyah that he expected to get. Right? The world doesn't revolve around me. It's okay if I don't get the aliyah that I'm supposed to, and or that I think I'm supposed to. Maybe I'm not supposed to get it. Right? And people get all hung up on I have to be honored. I put my name on the building. Put my name. Everybody should know. That brings a certain amount of craze with it that people struggle with. So kina, taiva, v'akavod, these things are motzianas ha'adam min ha'olam. Those are the things that take you out. Those are the things that contribute to not being happy. So we have to fix those things. We have to address those issues. So now, what do all those things really have in common? What are they all tied together with? They're all tied together is that when I look at something, I see that something is off. There's something wrong here. There's some calculation that's mistaken. Either he has something that I'm supposed to have that I don't have, or so there's money to be made and I deserve or think I should have more. That's desire, or I should be honored in a certain way and I'm not getting what I deserve, right? And there's this calculation in my head that I think, and I know what that calculation is, and therefore, if it's not going the way I should, then I have a problem and I'm upset. Right? I forgot who it was, but I think it was Yisrael Salanter once asked somebody all these questions in Judaism. Why is this? Why does God do that? Why does God do this? So Yisrael Salanter said, let me ask you a question. It says, if you were God, what would you do? So, that's easy. I'd make everybody have enough money. Everybody be the same. Nobody has to struggle. Everything will be fine. So he says, fascinating. So do you know what I would do if I was Hashem? So this guy, Yisrael Salanter is going to tell him what he wants to hear the truth. He says, yeah, tell him. What would you do? Nothing. I wouldn't change a thing. Said, what? You wouldn't change anything? Says, God knows better than me. So if I were God, then I would know better and I would understand why this is perfect. I would understand why this is the way it's supposed to be. So by taking out Hashem, taking out our spirituality out of a picture of life and just keeping it to the side, so then it's not fair. I deserve this. I'm supposed to have that. I didn't get this. I need more. And we're not complacent or happy with what we're supposed to have and what we do have. And we think we need more. We're jealous that person has something that I don't have, or we deserve a certain amount of honor that we're not getting. So really, the illness, so to speak, the thing that is harming our happiness is that we're taking away, we're taking out of we're not including in our life, I should say, we're not including spirituality in our life. I'm going to read you some words he says here. It's separated from the rest of the paragraphs, and he points out it's very, he wants us to really, really understand this. It says you have to know exactly how this works. It says, Ein shum osher gashmi ba'olam. There is no physical happiness in this world. Rak osher ruchni, only spiritual happiness. Mishahu osher beruchnius, somebody who is wealthy in spirituality. Hu hama osher, he's the one that is happy. Below acher b'shum panim, and nobody else is happy in any which way, shape, or form. True happiness, real, honest happiness, where I can say, everything's great. There couldn't be anything better, is when I have this connection, this spirituality in my life. You see people that sit and study Torah all day very often, and have also, I had a friend who's, he sat in Kollel for 5-6 years. He teaches in a school. And he was talking to him and just very casually said, he said to the doctor, I said, oh, yeah, everything okay? He goes, says yearly checkups. For what? And scoliosis. I was like, what? Like, this is something new. I've known him for a while already. He's like, yeah, I've known some kid. I said, unbelievable. And this person walks around like there's not a thing in the world that bothers him, happy, everything is fine. He's trying his best. And a person that is connected to spirituality, that is where the source of happiness comes from. So now if I'm connected to Hashem, if I'm connected to the source of everything that I have, so then I'm going to be jealous of somebody else. I know you have what you're supposed to have because that's what Hashem gave you. And I have what I have because Hashem gave me that. So then kina, that jealousy doesn't exist. My desires, I only want as much as Hashem is supposed to give me. I'll do my hishtadlus, put in my effort, what I'm supposed to. And Hashem will give me what I deserve. Hashem will give me what he knows that I need, exactly what he thinks is good for me. I'm gonna run after honor. Hashem says this is the amount of honor that you need. You don't need more than that, too much, too little, whatever it is. Hashem is the one who's determining. One second. Hashem is the one who's determining. So there's no room for desire, jealousy, or honor that will take me away from this world. I can live in this world perfectly comfortable and happy, knowing that I have exactly what I'm supposed to have because Hashem is providing for me. Now, we don't live in a world that Hashem says, I'm going to put you here and I'm going to make you suffer. Oh, it's going to be fun, right? God is not here to make us suffer, right? Yes, we've talked about people do go through suffering, but the purpose of life is not to suffer. That's not why we're here. We're here because Hashem loves us and Hashem wants us to gain a certain connection with him in a certain relationship. And if we work and develop that relationship, if we bring that spirituality into us, so then not only will we have an osher life, a happy life with an aleph, but we'll also have an osher life, an ayin, a rich life. Not rich because now we're suddenly magically going to be wealthy, but rather because Ezehu Asher, the same Pirkei Avos tells us, who is the wealthy person? Someone who's happy with what he has. So that, says Rav Dessler, is true happiness. Now we mentioned that I'm sorry, there's a question. You have a question? No.
I'm sorry,
I
didn't realize. The question I have, however, is what happens when you have a child who is sick and that child is struggling to live and is perhaps not going to be here for very long.
Yeah.
So as a parent, how do you get your mind wrapped around that? And how do you give the child an opportunity to feel
whatever they can
have?
Yeah. I can't honestly answer that question because Hashem never put me in that situation, and I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for that. But I will tell you that there was a couple in my shul, the shul that I used to be the rabbi of, the Mashkenaz Minyan, and they, from during pregnancy already, they knew that this child was not going to live very long. And they knew, immediately knew. And the child was born with all the different defects, and they did whatever they could. And a month, 2 months, 3 months after the child was born, the child passed away. Hey, now I can tell you, I knew them, I know them personally. I can tell you it was not pleasant, obviously. It was profoundly painful. The level of relationship that they used that opportunity to connect Hashem, said, Hashem, we don't know why. We don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense to us. It says, but this is clearly being sent to us from you. That was their approach. They did tremendous things. They raised money for different organizations to give tzedakah. They encouraged people to take on different mitzvos as a zechus, as a merit for the child. Unbelievable. While he was sick, and even after he passed away, over and over and over again. Tremendous strength. Really, it brings tears to my eyes. Unbelievable, the strength of character that this young couple had. Unbelievable. So I think that they'll never say, oh yeah, we'll do that again, right? Obviously, but they will tell you that they grew from it. And they will tell you that they, even at the hardest times, they were able to sense that Hashem was there for them. So it's profoundly painful, obviously, but
I understand how the parents grew from it, but I wonder about this child, the soul of this innocent being who didn't have the opportunity to evolve.
So that's a much deeper question, essentially, right? I think that the merit of all the mitzvahs that were done for the sake of that child gave merit to that child's neshama, to that child's soul. Right? Now, why did Hashem say this soul only needs to be here for 3 months? Maybe it was to rally all those people. Maybe that was his goal, his job, without it having to say a word, without having to be commanded to do any possible command whatsoever. His job was to be a beacon that would wake up hundreds and hundreds of people. Maybe. I don't know. I can only speculate. Right? But there was a reason. Right? What that reason is a very deep question that's I think reserved for after 120 we go upstairs. We can maybe ask that question. But here we can speculate a little bit.
Thank you.
Of course. So we started by saying that happiness, a person that's happy is somebody that's driven, that's ambitious, that wants to succeed, right? And the same is true for what we're talking about. We have to be ambitious in our spirituality. We want to grow. We have to have a drive and a desire and energy. I want to learn more. I want to grow more. I want to be better, right? I think I've said the story about this non-religious group of teenagers that was walking through Mea Sha'arim. And they stopped the first guy they saw with a beard, who happened to be a big rabbi, and asked him to give a speech. And he gave a whole speech. And then he said, opened up to question and answer. One kid raises his hand and says, Rabbi, how do we know we have a soul? So he says, you're right. Doesn't say it anywhere. Doesn't say anywhere that you have a soul. It's not written straight out in the way you imagine it to be. He says, but he says, when was the last time you went out with your friends and had a party? Oh, I had a great time. It was great. Yeah. How'd you feel the next day? Whatever. Fine. Nothing special. I said, okay, good. Thank you for your honesty. When, tell me, did you ever do something nice for somebody? Yeah, a little old lady had helped her across the street with the groceries and up the stairs to her apartment. Says, and how'd you feel after that? I felt really good. He said, that's your soul talking. That's the language of the soul. So we do things. I'm not pointing fingers or at myself or anybody and saying that you're never happy. We are happy. But our happiest, truly happiest times are when we're doing something that is in some way connected to our soul. Something kind for somebody else, something special for somebody else, something caring, saying something to somebody else, whether it's our friends and family or strangers, it doesn't matter. Those are the times where we suddenly, it wakens up and we say, oh, wow, I felt good. That's the language that our neshama talks. And our neshama is the source of true happiness in this world. Ruchniya's spirituality is the source. So we have to strive and grow and look towards more spirituality in order to give ourselves the opportunity to have a fulfilled, happy life. And as we said before, it will bring along with it its quote unquote wealth of whoever's happy. Who's the wealthy person? Is one who's happy with what they have. Any questions? This looks like it's about to die, so I'm just gonna put it off and we'll take the questions. I don't want the recording to get lost.